Hi, it's January 21st, 2022. This is To My Liberal Friends, and I'm John Haddo. Well, now that the Democrats have failed to change the rule in the filibuster, failing 52 to 48, they got to go back to the drawing board. They have to come up with a new game plan. And what you will see is another round of negotiations on a tax and spending bill. Nancy Pelosi has acknowledged that the need to restart the process is now, and even they should probably get rid of the Build Back Better moniker. It will have to be a completely new bill. Joe Manchin has said they need to start all over and put things in the bill that can garner support and might even bring a Republican or two on board. My guess is a new bill will have a price tag below $1.5 trillion. Now, that's not going to sit well with Bernie Sanders in the Senate and the squad and the rest of the progressives in the House. But the game is over for them, and they have to realize they're not going to get everything they wanted. And they also have to realize the clock is ticking, because if the Republicans take over the House in November, which I believe they will, it's game over for them, and none of this stuff will pass. As for the voting rights bill, which was really just a takeover of elections by the federal government, it's dead because you need 60 votes to pass that type of legislation, and that was reinforced yesterday. The Democrats will still try to use the reconciliation process because they only need 50 senators to pass the bill, and they believe they can structure a bill that will finally get Manchin and Sinema on board. So where will they start? What are some of the things they can put in the bill, and what will they have to cut out? Well, first, I expect they will be able to put money in for climate change in the bill, because Manchin has indicated his support for that, and that number will be somewhere around $500 billion in incentives to reduce carbon emissions. There will be Republicans that will oppose a lot of this stuff, but I think both Manchin and Sinema will get on board with that. They will have language that they hope will lower health care costs. And I think even some of the Republicans will support some of this stuff. That would include giving Medicare some ability to negotiate the price of pharmaceutical drugs. Now, Big Pharma, will come out firing on this. Second, there would be some form of subsidies for health insurance premiums for lower income people. There will be funding for universal pre-kindergarten, and I think that's pretty much got support with a lot of members of the Senate on both sides of the aisle. And there will be some kind of assistance for child care for working mothers in lower income circumstances. And again, I think that's something that both sides will find support for. So those are some of the things that will be included in the bill. Now, what are some of the things they're going to have to get hit with a chopping axe? Well, progressives had hoped to expand Medicare as a first step toward universal health care being funded by the government. That's not going to make the cut. Free community college will not make it into the bill. You just can't pay for it. Progressives had hoped to include a 12-week paid leave in the bill for both maternity and paternity, and I don't think that's going to be in the bill either. Again, the cost becomes too high because the federal government picks up that cost, or it's passed on to corporations. Subsidies for low-income housing buyers will probably not make the cut either. The child tax credit, in the form the progressives and the Biden administration wanted, will fall by the wayside. What they have been doing is sending out these checks every month in their expanded child care, and parents got to like that. I met today with a young man who's in his 30s, working in the financial service industry. He and his wife have 4 children, and he was getting $1,000 plus checks every month. And he said he liked it. He didn't need it because they didn't put a means test on it. And so he's been putting that into savings funds for each of his children. So it doesn't mean there's not going to be any child tax credit. It's just you're going to go back to accounting for it on your tax return. You get it at the end of the year if you meet certain criteria. And Senator Manchin has indicated he wants to see some means testing on this, not just passing it out. In his press conference yesterday, Biden admitted they might not be able to include the expanded child care, and so they're going to have to come up with another plan. Another issue that's still up in the air, and I'm doubtful will be changed, is the deduction cap on state and local taxes. That's known as the SALT deduction. This cap of $10,000 was put in place in the last major tax bill passed in 2017. Now, members of Congress from high tax states like New York, Illinois, New Jersey, and California, they have complained. A group of 3 House Democrats said again on Thursday that any deal passed would need to include measures addressing the SALT and get that deduction back. In their letter, they said, quote, "We support the president's agenda. If there are any efforts that include a change in the tax code, then a SALT fix must be part of it. No SALT, no deal." And this was from Representative Tom Suso from New York, Mikey Sherrill from New Jersey, and John Gottheimer from New Jersey. This is a tough one, because there are other Democrats who are afraid that this looks like a sop to the wealthy people in those high-tax states, since they are the ones claiming the deduction on a Schedule A. The Joint Tax Committee predicted, and it came true, that with the increase in the standard deduction to $24,000, about 84% of filers would use the short form and no longer have a need for a Schedule A. So if you hear a Democrat telling you that high-income people have to pay their fair share, then remind them that the people they are defending are the high-income people, and so why are you trying to give them back their SALT deduction? What they really mean is they want wealthy people to pay their fair share, not just their wealthy. And finally, they have to come up with some sources of revenue to pay for these things, assuming they still want to pretend that everything is fully paid for. Senator Sinema has been very critical of rises in the top rate for individuals and for the corporate rate. The Biden administration wants to raise those back to 39% for individuals and to at least 28% for corporations. Those were both reduced in the 2017 tax bill, and they will have to get her on board to be the 50th vote. This has been To My Liberal Friends, and I'm John Haddow.